Oh, well, hey everybody, we're back here with you. Working on the Firebird again today. Pulling the brakes. Everything's looking pretty good so far. Shoes look really good. Look pretty fresh. Looks like we got some life left in them. Everything looks nice all up in here. This thing is in really good shape. Drum looks good. Inner wheel wells on this thing are sweet, and so are the freaking probably can't see it, it's probably so dark. The frame rail is really nice on this thing. So, got a corner there. We need to check the gear oil on that rear and see if we're full, because I'm going to change it here eventually. Just go through and do all the fluids. It's funny, I used to work for Big A Auto Parts. I worked for Big A for quite a long time, 15 years or so. And these Husky shocks, they probably haven't made these since like the late 80s. But they're like brand new. And it almost seems like they put these springs on and put these shocks on and then park the car. I mean, they are not leaking. They're still tight. Kind of funny. So, alright, we're going to get back at it here. And we'll check back in with you. Oh, hey everybody. Back out here working on the Firebird. Got the brake lights working, the tail lights working, the backup lights working. So now we got that. Got the license plate working. Checked the brakes yesterday, and the brakes are good on the rear. The wheel cylinders look okay, but we're gonna have to keep an eye on them when we start running this thing. I haven't gotten to the brake fluid yet. I got to look at that. Today I got that stuff working, put my T-handle on the shifter, and I put a return spring on the carburetor because the damn carburetor kept sticking on me. So I put a return spring on it, and I adjusted the carburetor a little bit, and I put a new fuel filter on it. We're finally getting some clear fuel through the filter now. It's starting to look a lot better. Got a little bit of crud through it though. There's a hose down here that I didn't realize, and evidently they run the freaking fuel line up along the fender here. I don't know if I can zoom in on it or not, if you guys can see it, but it's right there. And they run it up, and I guess it runs across the damn cross member to the fuel pump. I thought, isn't that interesting? That makes it easy to put a Chevy engine in it. So that hose down there was completely annihilated. I mean, it just crumbled. It was like grease and mush in my hands, my finger. It just fell apart. So I'm guessing that maybe chunks of that stuff were getting sucked up into that fuel filter there. But I got another one here. I'll run it a couple more times with that filter on. I'll change that one out, and I'll put another one on. I'm hoping that'll be the end of it. Still got to get a water pump. The water pump we got, unfortunately, isn't right. This takes the 4-inch pump versus the 4.5-inch, which is what that one is. But I'm not sending that one back yet. We're gonna wait. So, a little bit of background on this thing. It's just kind of just an unusual option car. It's got a Muncie M20 4-speed in it with a 352 barrel 265 horse engine, and it has no options. It has no power steering, no power brakes, and that's about it. It has an AM radio, and the radio is still in the dash. Me and Tom were underneath the dash yesterday looking at the wiring and stuff. The wiring is just, it is mint in this thing. It's like there's no wires run to the fuse box or Jimmy rig stuff or anything. It's just kind of amazing. So it's just a shame that it just needs so much body work. That's going to take some time, but I'll run it around like it is for now. I need to get bigger tires on the rear. This thing looks goofy with these little punty tires on it. And it's sitting so high up in the air, and this is just leaf springs. This isn't air shocks. So I'm not sure what we're going to do there. I'm kind of hoping the springs will settle down a little bit. I'd like it to sit a little, like at least 2 or 3 inches lower than this, just to level it. I think it looks so much better. But for right now, just trying to get some things done, get stuff checked out. It charges. We checked the charging system. We're putting out 14 volts at idle, so we got plenty of charge. Horns don't work, so I'm thinking I need a horn relay, which is this little box up here. This is a cover that they put on it from the factory, and it's kind of amazing that that cover's still here. The wipers don't work, and I noticed that the wiper motor looks a little melted, so I'm going to have to pull that off and see what's going on, but that's nothing imperative for right now. And the two high beams on the inboards don't work. But I got some of those old yellow fog lights to go in there, so I think that'll look pretty cool. So, well, that's just a quick update on what we got going on here. And I'll update you guys more as we get more done. Just trying to get things situated so I can get it on the road and drive it around a little bit. I need to put exhaust on it. I don't want to put headers on it, so I gotta call a buddy of mine. He can bend pipe and things like that. So, see what he wants to bend me up an exhaust system to put on this thing, so we can at least drive it and have it sound decent. The engine, it needs to run. It sounds like it's got a miss, and I don't know if this guy set the points right. I don't have a dual meter anymore because, well, I don't have anything with points. But I'm thinking that I might just put an HEI in it and just be done with it. I'll put new wires and an HEI in it, because it'll be easy to wire it up. Yeah, it'll be a lot more reliable than that thing. So, but we'll get into the engine a little bit more. Get some other stuff done. Need to jack it up, check the front end. I want to adjust the clutch because the clutch seems to let out kind of high. Adjust that. The backup lights do work, but the back drive needs to be adjusted so that it pushes it further. So I think we might be able to adjust that and get that right too. So, alright, well that's all for now. Get back to you later. Hey everybody, Chris here from Test the Speed Shop. Doing the water pump on the Firebird, and I had a whole bunch of video of stuff that we had done on this thing and had taken, and I ended up deleting it all by accident. So let me give you a little bit of an update, since you're not going to actually see what we did. Right now I'm in the process of putting the water pump on. The old water pump was junk. It's pretty much spent. I don't know if I can get it out of the box here. There it is. Nice and smooth. Anyways, that's our new short pump. Because for some strange reason, I guess they changed pumps in '69. They went from an 11-bolt pump, went to an 11-bolt pump from an 8-bolt pump that they had in '68. And then the other stupid thing they did is that there was an early and a late '69 pump. So I ended up getting a late pump, because this is a late production car. It probably could almost be considered a 70. So I thought it would have the longer pump on it. Well, it ended up having the shorter pump. And the only difference is a ½ inch in length. And that ½ inch, how they measure this is they go from the, they measure it from here to the flange. So from your flat part on your hub to your flange, it's 4 inches on the early pumps. It's 4.5 on the later pumps. So I had to order a later pump in, or an earlier pump in. So that's what we're doing right now. To update, we went through the brakes on the car. We pulled the wheels and checked all the brakes. The brakes look good. Cleaned everything up. Pulled the front brakes off. Checked them. They look good. Repacked the wheel bearings. We don't like how the car was sitting. It was sitting really high in the back. And we actually dropped it down quite a bit here. We took a leaf out. In the factory, this thing had 4-leaf springs, and somebody put a 5-leaf spring in it. So we took the overload springs out, the 5th leaf, which is just like a real small heavy spring, which is laying right here. So we took this real big heavy spring out of the bottom, and that ended up getting us down to where we're at now. And I'm sure it might settle, but it sits a lot nicer, I think. I know guys say about jacking it up and putting big tires and crap on it, but I don't like them sitting up high like that. I never really did. And it was sitting up so high, I mean, there was so much room between those tires. And these tires are short to begin with because they're like a 205/70, so I can definitely go to a bigger tire and it'll fill it out and look a lot nicer. I actually went upstairs because I got a pair of rallies with a 245/60 on them, and then we slammed one on, and it actually looked pretty good because it's like a 1/2 inch higher than this one, and it really filled up the wheel well a little better. But these are only 14-inch, so I'm debating on whether I'm going to even keep them on, but for now they're going to stay. Got the car registered, it's all legal, got my tag on. Now, one problem we ran into when we were doing the springs is that we ended up having a gap between the rear end and the spring pin when the car was on the ground, because for some reason, I guess there's a gap because that 5th spring we took out. So when we dropped it down on the ground, we didn't have anything in there, and you could see that the rear end was hardly engaging in the center pin. So about the time we dropped the hammer on this thing, we'd have shot the rear end out one side or the other because that wasn't going to hold. So me and Tom, we ended up finding some pieces of steel that were the same size and thickness of that spring, and we ended up putting that in on both sides here to space it up so that the rear end would stay in the center pin, and it seemed to work pretty good. So you can see that shiny metal, that's what it is. It's the spacers we used to space that out so that we can do that. What else have we done? We got all the turn signals and everything working. I think I still have a video of that. Oh yeah, we ended up taking the carburetor apart. The car was missing terrible. We were running like garbage. And as you saw from the last video, we were still sucking up junk and crap and stuff through the fuel line. And I ended up finding a line that was down here. You'll see that. I actually have that on video, and I showed you guys where I changed that line at. But the line was like a sponge. It was just disintegrated so bad you could squeeze it and fuel would just ring out of it. And I think that's what some of this stuff is coming up. But we ended up tearing the carburetor off the car, pulling the top off of it. It was all full of crap inside. And that wasn't from us. I think the guy that had owned this car before me, he had put that carburetor on, but he did it in 2016. And then I think he let her set. So there was some crud in there. So we went ahead and we cleaned out the carburetor. I checked the gap on the points. We put new plugs in it and fired it up, and it runs good. Runs halfway decent. Took it around the block, got it in the 3rd gear, and it seemed to be working pretty decent. Except for the water pump spewing everywhere. So now I'm going to go ahead and put the water pump on. Hopefully maybe take it for a ride a little bit later since it's legal, has insurance, has a plate. But that's up to speed for now. Unfortunately, I deleted all that stuff out. I haven't really done much body-wise to it. I did beat this fender out over here a little bit. And if you remember from the first video of this thing was all sunk in right here. And there's a big gap between the Firebird in the middle. I ended up getting it and knocking it back some, so it looks a little bit better on this side. Grind off all that crappy putty they put on there and smooth it out a little bit. It probably look acceptable. But other than that, we checked the front end. The Front end's nice and tight, ball joints are good, greased it all up. So we'll see how that goes. We'll check it here after we put some road miles on it and run it around a bit. Hopefully it'll stay tight. And everything seemed really good on it so far, so. But that's where I'm at now. Got the thermostat in, I got a new lower hose put on, I got a new upper hose. I'm getting ready to put the water pump on now and get everything back together. Put some water in her. So, let me get back to work here and I'll get back to you. Oh, hey everybody. Just got done. We got the water pump in. Had all kinds of problems with that. Originally the aftermarket water pump had a longer pilot on it and we couldn't get the spacer to fit on, so we had to open the spacer up. Let me pop the hood. So we had that fan spacer that's on there. We had to open it up so it would fit on that pilot and go on, because what was happening is it was bottoming out and the pulley was loose and we couldn't get the pulley tightened down on the water pump. So that took up a bunch of time. So now we got it together and it seems to be working good. It seems to be running cool. I don't have a gauge in it or anything, but it's holding pressure. Thermostat's opening up. So everything seems to be working alright on it. I took it out and drove it around for a little bit, and it seems to be running pretty decent. So I still got some stuff to do to it. I mean, it's been sitting for 30 years, so there's still some things to do. So for the most part, it's about as far as we got. So got it running pretty decent. Now that it's actually warming up, I was able to adjust the carburetor and get the carburetor adjusted on it, so now it's running pretty decent. It's actually running a lot smoother and better than it was. I drove it down the highway tonight and it just cruised right along down the highway. It was actually pretty decent. So still got some stuff to do. We're going to try and, Tom's got a set of aluminum slots and we're going to see if they're going to fit on this thing. So I'm thinking maybe we might put slots on this, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure yet. So I'm still thinking about what we're going to do here. I like the rally wheels, but I'd like to put bigger tires on it, but I don't know. So we'll see what happens. So that's about all the updates I have on this. If we do some more work, maybe Thursday. I'm not going to be around tomorrow, so maybe Thursday we'll be able to get a little bit more, and maybe we'll get the damn slots on it and we can see what it looks like with the slots on it. So alright, that's it for now. Oh, hey everybody, back out here working on the Pontiac. Just changed the oil in it. Check to see if Tom's aluminum slots would fit, and it looks like they will, but we don't have the right lug nuts. But they're unilugs. They're actually ET Mark IVs. But the front ones that he has are direct bolt for a Mopar. So they're not going to work. So maybe what we'll do is we'll look for some wheels, or if I get tired of looking at these punty little things, I'll probably just break down and get some tires and wheels. So I think it looks like ass with these things on. But I just wanted to, I took a video of underneath the car the other day and I wanted to show everybody, and this is pretty much it here. It's, sorry for my camera work, it's not the greatest, but you get the gist. Here's the floors. I don't know why that floor got dented. I wonder if somebody stuck a lift or a jack up under it. But this thing is solid underneath. I mean, the floorboards in this thing are just incredible. Just amazing. And there's our Muncie dreads. I'm gonna reach in there. But that's about all we're doing today to it. I'm gonna drop it down, or we're gonna start it up and check for oil leaks and do some other things. Picked up some mufflers. This weekend we're going to try and make an exhaust system. Put duals on it. We're going to cut the wide pipe that's under there and run some pipes back. See what we can make there. So, well, that's about all that's going on with this thing for now. I haven't really, just topping off some fluids and changing the oil and stuff like that. So, and that's about it. So, I'm going to let you go. Until next time.